Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. In today's video we're going to be covering the evolution of LMGs throughout the Black Ops series. And that's going to take us on a journey through World at War, the original Black Ops, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 4 with a total of 23 LMGs. What's interesting about World at War, it didn't even have a light machine gun category, it just had a machine gun category, but it did have the most LMGs on launch with 6. So weapons you'll see in the background are the Type 99, the BAR, the DP28, the MG42, the FG42, and the Browning M1919. And obviously during World at War, they want to make this as accurate as possible, so they categorize these weapons the correct way. If any of you guys played World War II made by Sledgehammer Games, you'll notice that some of these light machine guns appeared as assault rifles, and I'm specifically talking about the BAR and the FG42. And it's very weird going back and playing World at War and actually using LMGs because they are usually known to be very slow weapons, not very much mobility. So when you go into an older Call of Duty which has way less mobility than we're used to today, not the unlimited sprint, all that type of stuff that we've kind of become accustomed to, they just didn't exist yet. And I think that's one of the main reasons World at War is so popular. They didn't even have camo, so it's just fundamental game mechanics, gun versus gun. You didn't even have to worry about the best class setup other than stopping power and juggernaut. So I think the simplicity of the game is what works so well. And as I went ahead and tried all the different weapons, most of the iron sights are junk. They're very cluttered, very hard to see, but my favorite from the entire bunch was the FG42. And for someone who played World War II for the entire life cycle, this is nothing like the FG42 in that game. It had a much faster rate of fire, very smooth reload. It was very nice to play with and kind of use one of these weapons that actually feels like a rifle, so no wonder why they changed it up and put it in the rifle category, even though technically it's an LMG. I think the sad part about LMGs is for the most part they deal a lot of damage. That mobility issue, the slower aim down sight kind of ruins them for me because you want to be a little bit more mobile. And a lot of times that's why I think they're so slept on. If you like camping, posting up, LMGs are typically the way to go. You got a little bit more ammo, you can take on multiple enemies, but at the end of the day, that's not typically the way you play Call of Duty. I know some people enjoy playing the game that way, so I think that lack of popularity would contribute to why there's so few LMGs in Call of Duty in general, and especially throughout the Black Ops series. As you see, we'll go ahead and continue to the other games. Most of them only have about 4, then BO3 added a few more with DLC weapons. So let me know down in the comments section below, are you a fan of the LMG category, or do you think most of the time the weapons are a little bit hard to balance and most likely too strong if you just post up in camp? And that's going to go ahead and bring us to Black Ops 1, where they actually had 4 different LMGs, the HK21, the RPK, the M60, and the Stoner. And even though I played a good amount of Black Ops, I can honestly say that I didn't really touch the LMGs at all. I thought they limited your mobility just way too much, so I kind of stuck to rifles mainly. Like I said in my previous videos where I did the evolution of rifles, I kind of stuck to the Commando, the FAMAS, and maybe a few other SMGs, but not really touching these LMGs at all. So as I was using a lot of these for the first time, that's really what I had, was a first impression of kind of what these weapons are all about. And overall, besides the sluggish movement, you really couldn't even tell that these were LMGs other than when we get to the M60, because the other 3 really felt like rifles, which in my opinion is a good thing. You still feel like you have some pretty decent iron sights. The reload times aren't excessively long, that ammo capacity is fairly large, and the time to kill is still pretty quick because these bullets do damage, and since they're LMGs, they have a pretty far drop-off range, so their damage is significant at almost all ranges. So overall, when I went ahead and played through, I didn't really have much issues other than the recoil was a little bit higher than a lot of the weapons I've tested in the Black Ops series. Like I said, I didn't use them previously to this video, but my top 2 overall were the RPK and the Stoner. For whatever reason, I just connected well with those. We end up seeing that RPK later on as DLC in Black Ops 3, but we'll get to that later on. And as you see the gameplay, I purposely left all the iron sights on. Even though some of these you can equip optics, I intentionally made the decision to leave off any camos and to leave off any optics so you can see the weapon for what it really is. So hopefully none of you came to this video looking for Black Ops 1 best class setups in 2019, because that's not what you're going to get with this video. It's more to remind people about the looks and feels and give people that nostalgia of the games we enjoyed, or for people that have never seen these games to kind of experience them and see kind of how they've changed over the years. And that's going to bring us to my personal favorite Black Ops title, and that is Black Ops 2. So back during Black Ops 2, I wasn't that great of a player. I didn't actually invest that much time into the game, but when I did spend time playing the game, I primarily used the meta weapons. So that's going to be primarily the rifles and SMGs. So again, I don't really have a lot of playtime with the LMGs. I just didn't really think they were fun to use at the time. It's not great to move that slow, but going back and actually using these weapons, they are actually very powerful. Not sure what it would be like against real life players, because obviously they have hacked lobbies, a lot of laggy lobbies when you go back to the older Call of Duties. Not sure, you got to play at certain times, certain regions, whatever the case is. You have to get a host, because at the end of the day, if you don't have a host, you're not going to be able to kill the guy who is host. So much broken mechanics back in this game. I really wish I could play it again in its prime and use a lot of these weapons. So again, like the original Black Ops, they decided to go with only 4 LMGs. So they went with the MK48, the QBB LSW, the LSAT, and the HAMR. And as I played with each of them, they all pretty much felt like LMGs except for the QBB LSW. This is the only one that actually felt like a rifle, but it felt like it had SMG fire rate. It was incredibly fast, which is probably why it had a ton of recoil, and I'm sure if you can handle that recoil back in its prime, you probably were decimating players, insta-melting them. Even though Black Ops 2 in general, all the weapons were very strong and had incredibly fast times to kill. The other really nice part about the LMGs in this game is it's the first time I didn't really feel like I was super sluggish and felt limited by my movement. Even though you do move slower, the aim down sight's just a little bit slower, obviously, even with quick draw. And that just might be the overall game mechanics. Maybe they're just way faster in Black Ops 2 than they were in the previous Black Ops and World at War. And the last thing I enjoyed with my playtime in Black Ops 2 using these LMGs is the overall iron sights are fairly clean. No matter which one I went to, the iron sights were very readable, and it didn't feel like it was totally necessary to have an optic on any of these weapons. So even though I've never been a hardcore LMG user, I'm sure some of you watching this video definitely are. So if there's any additional information or input that you think could help this video, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below, so anyone watching will have an opportunity to read that and get a little bit more out of this video. So when we transition to Black Ops 3, the game again launched with 4 LMGs, just like the original Black Ops and Black Ops 2. But later in the game's life cycle, they added 2 more in the form of supply drop. So unfortunately, because of that reason, a lot of people don't actually have access to these 2 different DLC weapons that are going to be featured in this video. And that's myself included, but fortunately, I do have a YouTuber buddy by the name of Qewzee, which will be linked down in the description below. Go ahead and check him out if you want additional Call of Duty content, and luckily he actually has access to every single DLC weapon in Black Ops 3. So the overall 6 weapons that they had in Black Ops 3 were the BRM, the Dingo, the Gorgon, the 48 Dredge, the R70 AJAX, and the RPK, which we saw in the original Black Ops. And if you've been following the evolution of weapons series where we covered the sniper rifles, the shotguns, the pistols, the rifles, you'll know that they like to make DLC weapons out of their previous weapons that they've had in other versions of their game. And while using these Black Ops 3 LMGs, I can see that the weapons are very powerful, but the ones that really stood out to me were the Gorgon, because of how powerful it is with that 2-shot kill potential. The 48 Dredge, because it's a 6-round burst weapon. That's just insane. You get that 1-shot kill potential if you hit center mass. If not, it'll take 2 bursts, which is like a lot of weapons in Black Ops 4, which we'll see once we get to that point in the video. Then we have the R70 AJAX, which is an energy weapon. Cannot reload, it automatically replenish its ammo over time. Get 50 bullets, that's pretty insane. That's a lot different, especially if you're going to go on a nice little feed, but fortunately that ammo does come back pretty quickly. And in my opinion, this might actually have even inspired Infinity Ward's energy weapons, because in those games, all the energy weapons have a similar mechanic, and if you put on a specific attachment, you'll be able to replenish that ammo that much quicker. And last but not least is that RPK that we remember from the original Black Ops. It felt pretty much exactly the same. The only real difference, in my opinion, was the advanced movement. Obviously, we have a jetpack and get around the map a lot quicker, and that's even in addition to the other mechanics that have changed over the years with the faster sprint out times, faster aiming down sight, and things along those lines. And now we'll go ahead and transition into the brand new Call of Duty, which is Black Ops 4. And when it comes to Black Ops 4, the LMGs in this game are very powerful, near at the top of the list. Even though they nerfed them right when the game came out, I still think they're a little too strong. And that's probably why they're used so often when you compare to previous Call of Duties. I don't ever actually remember playing Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, or Black Ops 3 and running into a bunch of LMG users. Obviously there was a rare occasion, but it seems like it's oversaturating this specific game. But when it comes to Black Ops 4, there are only 3 LMGs that the game launched with, which is the lowest we've ever seen in a Treyarch game. And that's something that has been a trend in Call of Duty in general, and you notice it that much more, especially when you look at some of the older Call of Duties. Even though Black Ops 3 is kind of the exception because they had so many DLC weapons, the games are launching with fewer and fewer options. And in a lot of cases, they just repackage them as DLC weapons later in the game's life cycle, We saw that with the Cap 45, and from my evolution of pistol videos, you might remember that I said that they're more than likely going to add a machine pistol to this game, which they ended up doing, because in all the previous ones, they kind of set that pattern. They have a semi-automatic, a burst firing, a revolver, and then a fully automatic pistol. So that's all they really needed. They could have just launched the game with that, but obviously they held it back so they can introduce it at a later date as a DLC weapon. So what that tells me is that more than likely we're going to get an LMG as a DLC weapon at some point in this game's life cycle, and it's going to be the exact same or very similar to an LMG we've had throughout the Black Ops series. And since Black Ops 4 doesn't really have that rifle style LMG, I'm guessing that's the type of weapon they're going to go with. And if I had to guess, it's more than likely going to be one of the LMGs from the original Black Ops or Black Ops 2. So I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you think they're going to add another LMG as a DLC weapon? Do you think it'll be a brand new type of weapon? Or do you think they're going to pull one from a previous Call of Duty? And with that, we've gone through all 23 LMGs in the entire Black Ops series. If you did enjoy the video in any way, please remember to hit the like button. These videos do take a tremendous amount of time, and the evolution of SMGs has been highly requested. So if this video gets over 3,000 likes, I'll go ahead and start working on that video. If you do want to find your way back to the channel, just hit the subscribe button, turn it from red to gray, and ring that bell so you'll have notifications on. I do appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.